In this episode, Team Rocket go on vacation in the Sinnoh region, but you know what they say, ain't no rest for the wicked. Hey, this is GatorEX, and today we'll go ahead and discuss episode 24 of the Pokémon Anime, Pokémon Journeys, Pocket Monsters, whatever you want to call it. I'll be using a lot of the dub names, but point is this episode is a neat little fun one. It centers around Team Rocket as they're contacted by their home base or by a Matsuri and told to take a break, which is pretty interesting. That they're not forced to take a break, but you know, ordered to take a break. I mean, I wish that could, well, honestly, that's been happening to us for like the past 2 months, but the point is, they decide to go to the resort area in the Sinnoh region, which is pretty neat, but of course, at the same time, at the Cerise Research Institute, Professor Cerise tells Ash and Go about something that's going on in the Sinnoh region, in the resort area specifically, that there's a Pokemon called the Lord, or that it's a large Pokemon in a lake, and no one really knows what it is, just Big Shadow. So their paths obviously cross once they come to the resort area, and it's pretty neat, you know, being in the Sinnoh region. Not the first time we've been here in Journeys series, but you know, it's neat that we get to go to a bunch of different locations here in the anime. So of course they run into Jessie, James, Meowth, Wobbuffet, all in disguises, which by the way, I love Wobbuffet in a backwards cap. I didn't know that's something that I really needed. But they end up becoming really friendly with Jessie and James. Of course, you know, in Pokemon, Jessie and James just have the absolute best disguises apparently and cannot be recognized by anybody. So it's really funny too, because at one point they're like in a shopping area, and they kind of bring up that, yeah, we're going to be trying to fish out this one Pokemon. And James just like snaps into James mode basically, and he helps them shop for, you know, fishing rods and lures. And, you know, it's a neat moment because, yeah, okay, Team Rocket, like our Team Rocket, they're cool, they're fun. And nobody in the fandom, no Pokemon fan treats them as actual villains. I mean, yeah, they do bad things. Yeah, they're bad guys, but they're not bad guys. So it's always just funny, and that's basically this whole episode. It's pretty predictable too that they're going to be working together, and that's something that I really like in the anime. Those were some of my favorite episodes, when they find common ground, or when they're not at odds with each other. They're just working together, and of course in this episode they've got some motivation, and you know, they've had motivation in the past for working together with them. They're forced to take a break for one thing. They're not going to be attempting to catch any of their Pokemon, at least. And it's honestly really funny because while Ash and Go James are inside the fishing store, Jessie saves Pikachu from getting hit by some dude on a skateboard, and it's just, like I said, just really nice, really wholesome. Overall, that's kind of the tone for the episode. And again, you know, like I said, Jessie and James are just fun, good characters. Yeah, you know, yeah, they serve as antagonists sometimes, but legitimately, you know, people like them. People I like them. I like them. They're fun. So the point is, they do They do eventually go fishing and catch a bunch of Pokemon, and it's really relatable too, because at one point they're basically just catching all Goldeen and Magikarp. That's literally all that's in the lake, it seems like, and the exact same thing happens when you're trying to fish Pokemon, right, in the game. That's often how it is. It's all the same thing. And when you're surfing, it's always just that tentacle that you run into. But interesting, Go catches a Goldeen, and he catches a Magikarp. Actually, the first Magikarp that they catch, Ash fishes up, and Go asks if he can catch it, and Ash is like, yeah, sure. So, you know, kind of an interesting thing, and something that it made me remember, or kind of realize, you know, their relationship, while they are the same age, and Go is much more knowledgeable about like Pokemon facts or things, while Ash is more knowledgeable with like experience. And so at times, Ash is kind of more like acts like an older brother to Go in a sense, when it comes to like, you know, experience, stuff like this. And again, you know, something like this, Ash maybe doesn't necessarily want a Magikarp. And Go, of course, his goal is to catch a lot of Pokemon, so he lets him keep it. And despite them fishing up a bunch of Pokemon, we don't see Ash catch any of them, which, you know, I guess makes sense. They probably just threw a bunch of them back after they got like the first Magikarp and the first Goldeen. So, you know, no Gyarados for Ash, which, you know, he doesn't need it at this point. He's got a good team. And interestingly enough, later on we do see that he brings Riolu with him. So that's honestly really neat that it seems like, you know, he mostly just leaves Gengar and Dragonite with Professor Cerise, but he brings Pikachu and Riolu with him. We did see that in the last episode as well. Riolu kind of following Pikachu around, being one of the little babies, just chilling here and there. But they end up actually fishing up this Lord, the big Pokemon, and it turns out it's a big Magikarp. Of course, Go is able to reel him in and using the lure that James recommended. So, see, James knows this stuff, and they actually spot him and they help pull up this big Magikarp because it's huge. It's huge. And we see that's what it is. Yeah, the lure is just a big Magikarp that can jump really, really high. So we got them Magikarp jump references in this episode as well. And you know, it's a huge Magikarp. It's crazy too, and it doesn't go down with just one Pokeball. So you know, a good episode overall for Go as well. You know, if maybe you don't like the fact that Go doesn't battle a whole lot, that he seems to catch all these Pokemon without much effort, you know, this is a good one. He actually brought his Oddish with him, and Oddish, why was that a weird voice break? But he brought Oddish with him that uses Sleep Powder to help him catch the Magikarp, which again, you know, good, smart thinking, something that we as Pokemon players would do, something that, you know, you would do in the actual game, and that helps him catch it. And again, Oddish, we didn't really see Oddish a whole lot in the last episode, even though it was focused a lot on Go's Pokemon. So, good little moment for Oddish as well. So, what happens is Team Rocket, the other Team Rocket, the large organization, is actually capturing a bunch of Pokemon in this area near the resort area. And then that really becomes the bigger conflict. Because, of course, Ash and Go step in and are saying, hey, what are you guys doing? Let all these Pokemon go. They get into a tussle, and unfortunately, they're overpowered by Team Rocket because apparently these are an elite force of Team Rocket members. Interesting, they've got some good Pokemon too. Interestingly enough, okay, I know that this episode takes place in the Sinnoh region, but the Pokemon that some of these Team Rocket members have, like you know, Purugly, Skuntank, and Toxicroak, those are the three like ace Pokemon of the Team Galactic commanders. So interesting Sinnoh reference. I mean, the whole episode takes place in Sinnoh, so obviously, but I just thought it was cool to see. Of course, interestingly enough, they lose, and I think you could attribute this to Pikachu and getting poisoned by Toxicroak, and these Team Rocket members actually capture Pikachu. So, you know, kind of a, you know, sad moment, obviously, but they gotta rescue Pikachu, and of course, they get help from Team Rocket, our Team Rocket, Jessie, James, Meowth, who, of course, you know, have their ulterior motives, kind of, because if they sabotage these Team Rocket members, then without, you know, anyone knowing that it was them, then you know, Matori kind of workplace politics, right? You sabotage someone else who's doing something, and then you look better by comparison. And you know, they have a little the boss fantasies again, not as like elaborate as we've seen like in the past, but you know, the first kind of boss fantasy I believe of Pokemon Journeys. So you know, nice to see. And so you know, real neat episode. Of course, they're teaming up, and they end up letting out all of the Pokemon that are all locked up in cages. Bunch of interesting Pokemon. There's a Charizard there, which makes for a very interesting screenshot, as at one point it stands behind Ash. But that's a little later. You know, one interesting thing we see Go serving as a distraction and battling some of these Pokemon. Interestingly enough, I think Go is you know, pretty integral. He takes down that Toxicroak that ended up just pummeling Pikachu earlier. So with that out of the way, that works out. He does this though by using the big Magikarp. So already, you know, it's a brand new Pokemon for Go, and it's getting you know, quite a moment. And so now Go's got more battles under his belt, and he's got more good Pokemon, which, you know, was something I discussed a while ago. While the anime was on hiatus, I talked about, you know, what are Go's best Pokemon. And I think it's still Golurk. Golurk is still his best Pokemon, as we saw last episode. But this Magikarp, the Lord Magikarp, is it's very formidable. I doubt he's going to need to battle a whole lot more, but, I mean, he's got this giant Magikarp that just destroys anything after jumping. So that's good to know. Of course, everything's resolved. You know, they defeat Team Rocket, this and that. Jessie, James, Meowth get their revenge for being forced to go on a break because they're... And, you know, I don't think it was said, but it was pretty heavily implied, or at least, you know, Jessie and James interpret it this way, that they were sent on a break because they're not very competent, or they're not seen as very competent. And again, you know, this operation specifically being elite Team Rocket members, kind of, it's apparent to them that they're not very... looked highly upon. So you know, nice episode overall. Of course, Officer Jenny shows up, and that's when they're like, all right, cool, we got to get out of here. The law's here. It's we can't be hanging around here, the other Team Rocket members. But overall, that nice episode. Like I said, there were some great moments in it. I think Yeah, nice filler episode. And okay, let me let you in on something. When it comes to Pokemon, it's all filler until we get to the final championship at the end of the series. Just saying. But it's a nice episode. We get some good moments with Jessie, James, Meowth, which I realized we haven't seen a whole lot of them in this series. I think there were, let's see, so there was the Ditto episode. They showed up in the Gengar episode. And then in the Ivysaur episode at the very, very beginning. That's all I remember. So, it's just good to see them. It's just good to see them in the series as usual. And again, the giant Magikarp at the end, they're kind of talking about it too. Professor Reese is like, geez, that's huge. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops. I would love to see the Gyarados that thing becomes if it evolves, but I doubt it's going to evolve. I think it would work much better for comedy's sake, for the series' sake, if it just stays a Magikarp, a giant Magikarp. But I'm going to love to see it. And again, it's another good Pokemon to put into Go's roster. While he caught another Magikarp this episode too. That's right, we mentioned. So he has 2 Magikarp, one of them being giant, and he has a Goldeen. But like I said, I think it was a good episode for Go as well, because like I said, we don't always see him battle. We don't always see him, keeping Pokemon around at least. Or, he keeps his Pokemon, but he doesn't necessarily always bring them with him. But like I said, we got Oddish and we got to see him battle with the giant. Honestly, that's one thing I loved about the episode, the giant Magikarp. But anyway, that's the episode. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Did you like this episode? Are you looking forward to next week's episode? And just overall, what are your thoughts? How's your day going? Have you watched the dub on Netflix? Which, by the way, yes, the first 12 episodes are out on Netflix in English here in the US. And if you'd like to see me discuss that, let me know. I'm just going through a rewatch. It's a lot easier to rewatch it in English. So if you'd like to see me just kind of discuss the first 12 episodes as a whole, as well as the English version as well, because there are minor changes, so let me know if that's something you'd like to see. Leave a comment below. We'll continue the discussion down there. If you enjoyed the content, remember to leave a like, subscribe. You can enable notifications by clicking that bell icon next to subscribe. On this, we'll make sure you see each new video as it comes out, and we'll make you a member of the Chingling Squad. Anyway, this has been GatorEX. Have a nice day.